There was this fisherman who was standing on the bank of a river fishing. And a younger man about a couple 100 feet upstream from him, looking down, and as he was watching this old man, he noticed that he was pulling fish pretty quickly, like every 2 or 3 minutes pulling a fish out. And it seemed from a distance that he was taking some of the bigger fish and throwing it back in the river. So puzzled, this younger man walks down to the old man and he says, "Sir, I couldn't help but notice that you are catching a lot of fish." He says, "Oh, young man, I have been fishing this river for 55 years. I know every spot, and this is the best spot on this whole river. I always catch a lot of fish." He says, "I also noticed that you're throwing back what appears to be some bigger, nicer fish." He says, "Well, young man, you see this little steak I have on the ground here? I broke that to be about the same size as my frying pan. And what I do is every time I pull a fish out, I put it up against that little steak. And if it's bigger than that, I know it won't fit in my frying pan, so I'll just let that fish go." You see, that's how we tend, without even thinking, limit ourselves in the things that we do, in the things that we're capable of. We look at an olive seed and we think to ourselves that this is all that this olive seed is capable of being. When in reality, over the years, it could be millions of olives, hundreds of trees, just this one olive seed. See, we have amazing potential, but our paradigms hold us back from understanding and realizing our own true potential. See, I was raised thinking that to be wealthy, I had to be an engineer or a doctor or an attorney. And as I was raised through my school, I was barely a D- student, really. Until I came to the United States in my 12th grade. And that's when I was actually given options. Up to that point, I was never given option. I had to take these classes and those classes, and I had no interest in any of that. But for the first time in life, when I was actually given options, I went from a D- student, literally, like overnight, to become an A student. How does that happen in life? See, then I realized that it's really not who you are that holds you back. It is who you think you're not that really holds you back in life. It's your paradigms. It's your self-image. See, I want you to think of some of the people that are in your company. You know, they're taught how to do something, learn their skills, and companies spend millions of dollars teaching people how to do things better. But they're not doing it. They seem to continually make the same mistakes. Have you noticed that? Now, why are they doing that? They really don't know. We at Armo are going to help people understand what is it that's holding them back. See, John Ruskin once said, "Education does not mean teaching people what they do not know." He says, it means teaching them to behave as they do not behave. And that's what we're hoping to do with you. Now, there's two things that we must know in order to become a peak performer. First, we have to understand our current circumstances. We have to know who and what we are currently. Then, we have to know what it is that the life that we want. What kind of accomplishments? Where do we want to be? And see, the average person look at this and say, "Well, you know, that's plain, that's simple, that's easy. What kind of secret is that?" Well, if it's so plain and simple, then why are so many people stuck in life? Why are so many people not driving the automobile they wish they were driving? Living in the kind of home they wish they were living in? Taking the kind of vacations, the exotic places that they wish they could? Why are so many people stuck? Well, the average person would look at it and say, "Well, their goals, they have no goals." Well, that's not true. I don't believe in that. I believe everybody has goals. See, as long as you want something, then you have a goal. See, goals are simply wants, right? Now, some of them may be written, some of them maybe not. But I've come to realize that what's holding them back is really their current circumstances, their own paradigms, really, their thinking. That's what's holding people back. See, and we are going to explain to you, first of all, what paradigms are, secondly, how to overcome them, and thirdly, how to change them and create new set of paradigms that are going to be more productive and more efficient in getting you to the person that you want to be. See, Paradigms really shape our logic. It was totally illogical to think that something heavier than air can lift up a bunch of people within it and travel thousands of miles. But the Wright brothers didn't care about that. They wanted to make sure that they did that, because in their mind they knew, even though it was illogical, they believed that it could be done. See, it also changes your perception. Two people could be looking at the same situation simultaneously, and each person would have a different image. See, I often hold my book, Always Rich, in front of people, and on the back side of it there's an image of myself, and on the front of it there's an image of the face of the book. And I tell people often, I say, you know, on the cover of this book there's a picture of me. And they look at me and they say, no, that's not true. And then I flip it over and everybody says, oh yeah, it's true. Well, the reality is that both scenarios are true. See, it's just a matter of perception, who's seeing what. And both scenarios are true. Paradigms control our time. You know, and I know, everybody knows that everybody has the same amount of time. The most successful people on the planet and a hobo on a park bench, they both get the same amount of time in a day. And yet some are so much more productive with their time than others. Why does that happen? Well, it's controlled by our paradigms. Our effectiveness and our productivity are also controlled by our paradigms. And guess what? Our ability to earn money is controlled by our paradigms. Armo teaches you how to overcome these paradigms. First of all, to understand what their paradigms are, how they're limiting you, how they're holding you back, and how to change them and transform them in such a way to get everything you want out of life. Now, a company earning $5 million a year is not automatically going to think of how to earn $5 million a month. No. They are programmed to think of how to earn $5 million a year. So paradigms are really a big deal, and we have to learn how to deal with those. Did you know that some of the most brilliant people in the world are broke? And yet I know some high school dropouts who are earning millions of dollars. Why does this happen? Because they have a different image of themselves. They are utilizing their own higher powers. We're going to teach you how to utilize your own higher powers and recognize and know what those powers are. So you ask yourself, what are paradigms? See, paradigms simply are a multitude of habits. And check this out. They're other people's habits. They're not your own necessarily habits. These are habits that were passed on to you from your parents, from your grandparents, from your teachers, from your boss, your employers. See, the mind is the greatest power in all of creation. And when we fill it with whatever we fill it, that's what we end up with. See, paradigms are fixed concepts, really, in our own mind. It's our fixed belief system. You know, at one time, everybody believed that the world was flat. And really, that was illogical to think that it was anything but. People got killed for even thinking or claiming that it was round or anything but flat. But just because we believe something is true doesn't make it so. At Armo, we found that the ideas that will change your life will also change your company. It'll change the team, the group, the organization, and multiply not only the effectiveness for you as an individual, but significantly increase the revenues and the profits of your company. This is the program that we have put together. It's amazing. So the question you want to ask yourself is, can I change my paradigms? And the answer is absolutely yes. And that's what we're going to do with Armo. We're going to show you how to change those paradigms. See, changing paradigms requires work. You know, the dictionary is the only place that success comes before work. It requires repetition. It requires reprogramming on a continuous basis. See, our unconscious mind is really like a computer. there's a couple of ways that it limits us. Think about a brand new, state-of-the-art, biggest and best computer that you can imagine. And go ahead and install Windows, the very original Windows operating system that was ever created back in the early 80s. And if you put that in there, you're taking a state-of-the-art computer and it's going to be functioning and operating with very, very limited capacities. It's not going to be able to do videos like you want it to. It's not going to be able to do games if that's your thing. There's a lot of functions that you're not going to be able to use with it because you're limiting it with the programming that you put into it. You see? Now, on the other hand, imagine if you have some viruses, even in the highest tech, with the highest level of programming, if you have some viruses, which we call, let's say, negative thinking. If you have some viruses that are instilled in the program, you can install all the new programs that you want. But until you remove and extract those viruses, those bad thoughts, as my friend Zig Ziglar calls it, stinking thinking, unless you pull those out and replace them with newer, better thoughts, that computer is not going to function properly. Your life is not going to advance in the direction you want it to advance. You're not going to reach your potential unless you're able to do that. So repetition is very important. Repetition of new, better information, new, better thoughts about the new, better you, the new, better company, the company that is going to take you and everybody within it and elevate the lives of everyone in this company to whole new heights. You see, an idea can be planted in a person's mind once, but that doesn't really do it. That doesn't create the change. It only creates awareness. When you learn about something, you just become aware of it. It takes repetition. See, the paradigm-changing information must be planted over and over and over again for it to settle in and overtake the old programming. See, when we go into a company, we recommend that everyone gets involved in this program. I mean, everyone. We have to have everybody in the company participating in these programs so that the whole company gets elevated in new awareness. We encourage them to take the program home, get their kids involved in it, their spouse, or their family. Everybody benefits from this incredible information. And when we implement this in your company, things will change like night and day. Things will happen fast. See, with change often comes fear though, right? We will teach you how to deal with that fear. See, fear is simply a way of our body letting us know that we're getting ready to grow. It's a way of our body giving us a little alarm system saying, I'm getting ready to do something I've never done before. And we should be welcoming that and should be able to get excited about it. And the next segment, we're going to learn about the stick person. And this is really a foundational of all the lessons that you need to really have a good understanding of. You need to have a good understanding of how the mind works. So make sure that you get a good grasp of this particular concept of the stick person. View those videos and lessons as often as you need to get a good grasp of the ideas shared within that particular program. Now there's only a couple of ways that you really can change paradigms. One is through an emotional impact, like a death of a person or something sudden and tragic that could happen. And the other one is through repetition. And what we need you to do is to practice repetition of this information. Go onto your website, log in, watch the videos, read the information, do the exercises. It will change your life like night and day. It will change your company and make it the best.